When a system is unjust, our voices must be heard. We must be the ones to blow the horn. The 1850 Fugitive Slave Act was a compromise between the Southern slave owners and the Northern free soilers, the Whigs, the abolitionists. The law gave the Southern slave owners the right to cross over state lines to retrieve those who had escaped the diabolical system of slavery, those who had gained their freedom. The law also dictated that officials and citizens, when asked, must help in the retrieval. And if officials refused, they were fined $1,000, the equivalent of $26,000 today. And the law gave no rights to those who had gained their freedom. They had no rights in the court of law. And therefore, the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 outweighed the personal liberty laws in Pennsylvania that protected free men and women of color who had always been free. Therefore, when the gangs gathered, such as the Gap Gang, they would cross over the state lines to capture those who had escaped, but they would also steal free black men and women of color and sell them in the South. But there was one man, William Parker, who made a blow against the 1850 fugitive slave law. You see, William Parker, he escaped Anne Arundel County, Maryland, in 1839 at the age of 17. He had seen many of his family sold off. And he said, "It is now time for me to gain my freedom." Him and his brother, it was harrowing, for they almost got caught twice before crossing over into Mushroom Country in Chester County, Pennsylvania. There, William gained employment at the Pall Mall farm. And finally, he settled in his home, a two-story building in Christiana, Pennsylvania. And there, on Sundays, they would have apple butter boiling pots, and they were stirring up. Or they would dance, and they would sing songs like, "I'm on my way to Canada, that cold and dreary land. The dire effects of slavery I can no longer stand. My soul is vexed within me to think that I'm a slave. I'm now resolved to strike the blow for freedom or the grave. O righteous Father, won't thou pity me and aid me on to Canada, where colored men are free." Yes, they would sing and they would stir. And while they were stirring up, they were stirring up plans. You see, they had formed the Mutual Protection Organization, the MPO. Whenever the Gap Gang or any other gang came to retrieve someone who had escaped and gained their freedom, the MPO would ride out. William Parker, they got William Dorsey down at the jail. They got him at the jail. And the judge said he's someone else's property. We gotta ride out. But the judge said he's someone else's property. We don't much care what the judge says. You know what will happen to Dorsey if he gets back south. And you know the plight of his wife and his children. So the MPO, they rolled out. And they got him free from the jail. But there was so much confusion, he got recaptured. But that evening, it was the free men of color and the abolitionists who paid for his freedom. Now, William Parker's home was a fortress against the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act. Men and women, they would come through on their way to Canada, or they would come and stay and work in Chester County. Then, on September 11, 1951, you see, The gangs knew about Parker's safe haven. And so Edward Gorsuch from Maryland, he came. He came with Klein, the U.S. Marshal, and a posse to get what he called his property. And Parker and everyone in the household, they knew when they flew up to the second floor. Gorsuch entered with Klein. "I hear your voice." He knew himself to be a benevolent slave owner, for he would set his property free at the age of 28. "If you come down, I shall set you free at the time, and I'll treat you kindly." What came down was, "If you take one of us, you'll have to take all of us." "But you have my property. I want my property." "Look down there. You see the table? You see the chair? That's property. Go to the barn. You see the pigs and the cows? Are they your property?" "That is not my property. You have my property. Klein, we can go. We have the best of this." "If you come up, you will only go back down by way of my shotgun." And Klein responded, "Let's burn him out. That is only the way of a coward. And you will see my ashes upon this earth before we give up our freedom." And then all of a sudden, there was a horn. The horn blew. It was Eliza, his wife, on the second floor. She was blowing the horn out the window, and everyone knew that when the horn blew, it was time to come. Everyone was needed. There was no more time for taking up potatoes. And so the people came. They came with their tools that were now going to be weapons. Even Quakers came like Hannaway and Lewis. And when Hannaway and Lewis got there, you see, it was said to them by Klein, it is your duty to help us retrieve Gorsuch property." But Hannaway and Lewis said they have the right. They have the right to their freedom. In the meantime, there was Gorsuch yelling up at the window, saying, "The Bible gives me the right. It gives me the right to my ownership." And there was William Parker coming down, saying the same thing from the Bible. Yes, but it said, "I have the right. We have the right through the Bible to be men that are free." Then the fires, the shots, the gunfire, it started. And by the time the smoke settled, Gorsuch was dead. He had no more property. Over 30 people were arrested and they were tried. William Parker and his family, they gained their freedom and they went to Canada. But those who were tried for treason. But it failed. And so we know that William Parker, he struck a blow against the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act. You see, Frederick Douglass said it was actually the first event that spoke to the Civil War, because Eliza and William Parker, they blew the horn. We must continue to blow the horn.